What's going on, guys? It's Fernando, and I am back doing the thing that I do in a very inconsistent schedule, I guess. I wanted to take this opportunity to move more towards the real estate stuff because it's something that I'm going to be doing, or I am doing full time now. So, with that being said, real estate is something that you can get into from all aspects. And what I love about the industry is you can go from licensed agent to unlicensed investor, appraising, contract work. I mean, you can get into all things real estate. And what better person to sit down and have this conversation than the one and only
Tina.
So, I know who you are. Some people may or may not know who you are. We have some mutual friends online just because we're kind of in the same industry. So
Yeah.
for those that don't know, just go ahead and just like a soft introduction before we get into all this.
Sure. So my name is Tina. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and my parents are from Mexico City, so I'm first generation. I grew up here. My parents, sorry. Start over.
No, we'll leave it.
Okay,
So
okay.
you were born and raised in Houston, Texas,
Yeah.
and first generation American, and pretty much you're just trying to figure all this out, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely,
So
definitely.
this is why I wanted to sit down with you because one, I admire you. You made a leap recently, and you're kind of doing something that I don't want to say it was like Tina did it, I'm gonna do it, but it was something that like, man, if she can do it, like I can figure out a way to do this too, right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
if you don't mind, let's kind of go a little bit into kind of how you grew up. What was childhood for Tina like?
So, my parents were like middle class, lower middle class. And my dad is an architect, and my mom has worked for the school district. And pretty much we grew up together. My parents got a divorce when they were like 18. And so a lot of like things happened in the household. And so
Wait,
since
they or you were 18?
I was 18.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, no, they were older than that. I would hope. And so there was a lot of changes at that time. So as far as like me buying my own house, me getting my own cars, like all of that was on me. I went to A&M University, and so I had no help from my parents. Just kind of like grinded through there. I worked as a vet tech through college because my dream was to become a veterinarian. But that didn't work out too well. At the end of it, I was just like, this is just not something I saw myself doing. So after that, I didn't really have too much guidance as far as like finances goes. So on top of me getting my school loans, I was $15,000 in credit card debt. And at that time, I didn't have the best car. This was at the time after I finished A&M. So then after that, I was in a relationship for 6 years, and that failed too at that same time. And so I was back at my dad's. I was broke, had a crap car, and I was
If
like,
you want to say shit, you can say shit.
okay,
Had a
shit car. So, and yeah, so I was $15,000 in credit card debt, and so I was just like, I don't want to be here ever again in my life. And so I also didn't know after I left, like the choice of becoming a veterinarian, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So after that, a lot of people were telling me, you should maybe get into sales, like your personality, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, I'll get into sales. I got into a local oil and gas company, and I got fired. I didn't do too well. It was like door to door, so I just didn't do well. So then I was like, screw it, I'm gonna try again. So I went into a local medical waste company, and I got the number of contract I was supposed to get, but I didn't get the number in sales.
Yeah, you said you were shy of like $100 or something.
$100,
like that?
yeah. So then they let me go too. Sorry, they let me go as well. And so then I was like, oh, maybe sales isn't for me, you know? And I was like, I should try something else. So then I applied at Enterprise, which is like a rent-a-car. And so they had like a management trainee program. And so I went there, and turns out it was a lot of sales. So it was like training people to be motivated, to be managers, to be leaders, and to sell. And so that was pretty much where I kind of like dived in, and I was a top performer since the very beginning, all the way throughout the 3 years that I was there.
How was that different than the one being fired? Because I don't think I was actually. Okay, I'm a sissy because I always fire myself or I quit before I end up like getting fired.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I worked as a teller, and for some reason, I want to say it's like the dyslexia in me.
Yeah.
I was always short my money in my drawer because I would give somebody like an extra $10 or I would just mess that up, right?
Yeah.
And I always got along with everybody for the most part. The manager was like, "Hey man, I don't want to let you go, but you're obviously a repeat offender, and we can't get you to close your till or your drawer, balanced." But so that kind of crushed me a little bit, and but I left. I was like, before you fire me, I'm gonna quit,
Yeah.
Were you a little like discouraged at all, kind of being fired, and just kind of like, how did that feel?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely discouraging. I just felt like I just did not know what to do, and it was unfortunate that sales wasn't for me, because I do like it. And so when I got to enterprise, and as soon as I found out that, okay, yeah, it's management, but it's also sales, I was like, oh no, like my
Kinda
butthole
like
kind of went like that, It's like, oh crap. And so I was like, okay, screw it. So it's like, I just think sometimes it's a lot mental. So it's like, it's to that point where it's like, I can't fail. Like, I can't fail at their time. Like, there's no way. So I just put all in, and I kind of like, I just crushed it. I don't know. I just think it was like more of my mental. Obviously, when I was younger, I wasn't as disciplined, and maybe I wasn't as organized, to be able to make it out of those like door-to-door sales. But I definitely learned, and I definitely just kept trying. Like, even though doors kept closing, I just kept trying.
To be fair, I don't think anyone at a young age, or the majority of us at a young age, are ever like that disciplined and structured. Because kind of similar to how the things you were going through, I kind of had the same thing too, where I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, and then what I really ultimately wanted in that phase where I think a lot of us are still at, or I talk to a lot of people just kind of being out, and I think there's still a lot of people that are just kind of stuck, and they're kind of lost, and they don't know really what sense of direction they want to take their lives. And then I truly feel that people are still stuck in that spot, and then parenthood comes in, or survival because of bills and things like that. Then people can't financially afford or have the free time to take on other journeys or leap and just do kind of some of the things that we did. But after enterprise, you got your second win in sales, and so let's break that down a little bit. You went into enterprise, got that second win. Kind of how did real estate fall into this now?
Yeah, so I always wanted to be in real estate. I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So what I started doing is, like, when I first started enterprise, during my lunch breaks, I would start reading books about real estate investing. So then after that, once I started kind of getting to know what options there are in real estate, which there are millions, by the way, I started going home after work, and I would watch YouTube Academy, and I would watch YouTube videos from like 5:30 to 7:30 every day after work. And then I was like, I want to be around these people that are doing it. So the best way to do it, I thought, was just to be around the people that are local, right? So then I got on Facebook, and I just started adding everyone that said realtor or Houston realtor or Houston real estate investor. And then I went into Isai's and Ray's Facebook, and they were having an event called Space City Mastermind. It was like $275. And so I was, because it's like VIP, all this stuff, and I was like, all right, and I only had like $300 in my savings account at that time. So I was like, all right, screw it, I'm buying this ticket.
Did you still have that crap car or no?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. And so I went there, and when I got there, honestly, I thought I was in the wrong room. So everyone was talking about wholesaling, and I was like, I was like, wholesaling, and so I was like, dang, maybe this is like some Amazon stuff, And so I was like, the room looked right, so I was just like, all right, I'm already here. So then
it's my last $300. I might as well get my money's worth.
Seriously. And so then they started talking about wholesaling houses, and I was like, what in the world? And so they went. There were so many great speakers there, and actually on that mastermind, that's where I met my mentor. So he was one of the speakers there, and then on his speech, he had told everyone, hey, if anyone wants to come see what a wholesale business looks like, just shoot me like a text. And then he just like announced his number. And so then he calls me, and his name's Josue Llanas, by the way.
I'll have to plug him in and tag him on the thing.
Yes. And so then he calls me 2 days later, and I was at lunch with one of my girlfriends that I met at the mastermind as well. And so then he was like, hey, I got your number, and we just wanted to see if you wanted to see what a wholesaling business looks like. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah. So I was like, all right, let's go. And he was like, yeah, can you come now? And I was like, yes. So then I went over there. We spent the whole day. I absolutely loved it. And I was like, dude, how can I work for you? And then he was like, you need to buy these $300 headset, and then you need to do this culture index. And then he's like,
wait, what's a cultural index?
A culture index is basically like a survey, and you just click like things that you feel
like a personality test?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's like personality tests on like how you are, and then how you think you should be when you're working. So it just gives you like that sense of how you're gonna be like in the professional setting. And so he gave me that, and then he was like, and then just come every single day after work, after your 9 to 5. And then I was like, okay. And so then I didn't have like the money for the headset, so I called my brother and I was like, hey, can I borrow $300? I'll pay you back. And then he was like, okay.
Have you paid him back yet?
I did, yes. Oh my God, imagine he'd kill me. But, so yeah, he let me borrow the money. I bought it, and then after that, I went every day after work from 5:30 to about 8 p.m. And he was like, if you can lock up a deal in 10 days, I'll hire you on. So I was like, okay. And on my 8th day, I locked up a deal.
So you had no training? Did he train you, kind of give you like a rough little like, hey, you got like a trial like a couple days, and then he threw you out to...
Yeah, I mean, like the next day when I went in on a Monday, like he would stay after like 5:30, and then we'd just like, I'd hear him be on the phones, and then he'd be like, all right, you do it.
So you're just cold calling the whole time?
Yeah.
I don't think people really truly understand the, you know, and if it wasn't for my good friend Adam, which is also an agent that I work with at the same brokerage, he's the reason why I went over there. He was a very good friend of mine before I got into this industry, and he's been... Honestly, I think sometimes he comes over to work here at the house just so that he's like, I'm gonna hold you accountable to like your stuff, you know. And I'm super thankful. Yeah, I'm super thankful for him. But I don't know where I was going with that. But I don't think people really understand like the fear of getting over that initial like picking up the phone.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm super good at having conversations. Like I can go anywhere and sit just about anywhere, and I can make friends with just about anybody. But actually sitting and picking up the phone, I don't know why. I had this ultimate fear of it. Up until like recently, finally I was like, you're good at this.
Yeah.
You're good at talking to people and meeting, you know, I guess it's just the rejection. It's the fear of rejection for me. Yeah. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
And you know, people say some hurtful things on the phone.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is fair, because you're probably calling them, and I'm probably calling them, and so is everybody else.
Right,
you know?
Right.
So you started, and then within 8 days of starting, you ended up locking in your first deal. I mean, what kind of deal was this?
It was a lot in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it like prime real estate, like in a good spot?
So, yeah, it was over there in like Brazoria.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like... Yeah, it was a small lot. I mean, we had a pretty decent assignment fee, about I want to say about $16,000 to $20,000 from what I can recall. So it was a pretty solid deal. It was a warm lead, definitely. But yeah, that was... You
just happened to pick up and call the right person at the right time.
And that's what happens. Yeah. That's what it's all about. It's like sometimes like, even now, like sometimes when I call sellers and they're like upset, like that day, I just had that today. I called the same guy that was like, just mail me. I'm like, I'm not gonna mail you an offer, man. I don't even know how to mail things.
Yeah.
So then I called him today again, and he was super nice. Gave me all the information about his commercial property. We chit chatted. So it's like sometimes you just catch people on a bad day. And I think like with us having so much fear over the phones, I do believe like it's a limiting belief, because all of a sudden our brain's like, they're going to tell you no. Like it's going to be no. It's going to be no. They're going to hate you. You're going to be a pest. Like, and it's just like, no, dude, like these people want to talk to me because I want to help them.
You know, and that's true. And one of the things that I have, I don't know if you can see that board there or whatever, but like you see the smile thing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and then the video that I was showing you earlier where I was drinking the water and I was trying to hype myself up.
Yeah.
It's because I have to get into the right mental state. Because if I get in here and I'm tired, if I get in here and like, man, I don't want to do this, like, energy is everything.
Yes.
And when I pick up the phone and I'm in this like, hey, I was looking for so-and-so about property, whatever, like, they're like, dude, you sound depressed. You know, they don't say that, but like the response is like, what the hell is this? Versus if I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm looking for so-and-so. It's like, they're like, yeah, hey, what's going on? And I'm just like, or like, what do you want? You know, like, and sometimes it's a little hostile conversation, right? Which is probably, it's fair.
Right.
We're randomly
100%.
calling them, right? But it's learning to, like you said, learning to, or changing the perspective. And that's what it's really has to be about for me. And you touching up on that just reassures me of that too. And like some of these like gurus and mentors and stuff that are online, the good ones that are actually like producing.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I learned too is hearing you say it, hearing a friend say it, hearing this person say it, and this person say it. And I'm like, man, if all these people are having this success and they're all mentioning the same thing, man, let me try that. And that is one of the biggest things that I've learned is having the right energy, the mindset that like, all I'm doing is trying to help people.
Right.
And some people don't want to be helped, and some people are annoyed with it.
Yeah.
Click, hang up, that's fine. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Some point, somewhere down the line, you're going to get a hold of someone that still has that problem.
Yeah.
The listing that I had was an individual that I picked up, and I called the phone. And I made a video about this too, about being bilingual. And I could hear her kind of struggling with English a little bit. And I switched to Spanish, and bam, instant connection.
Oh, yeah.
And then from that point on, I started talking to her a little bit more, and I just was kind of curious about the property, like, hey, what's going on? I saw you had it for sale at one point. What happened? She was like, I'm actually still, interested in selling it. I've got some renters in there right now. I need to touch it up, but I would still like to sell this thing. Met up with her, and fortunately for me, I ended up getting the listing from it.
Nice.
And now we're in the process. But not only that, like, I'm helping her solve her problem.
Right.
And she's got multiple properties. So this is a relationship I'm really gonna take care of because one, she reminds me of my mom.
Aww.
So she's got like that extra little like thing about her. But then too, it's like she has something. I have a set of skills and resources. She needs those, and obviously I would love to help her with them. And in the process, she wins, and then I win, and we build a relationship, and it just kind of works out.
100%.
It's I went off. Sorry.
Have you told her that she reminds you of your mom?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and
and she told me that because she actually, when I met up with her, she was like, I have a good agent that I use.
Yeah.
Or I had an agent that I normally use, but they're a little bit older, and I don't think they're like up with like the marketing and the technology and the things like that, which is one of the things that I try to take advantage of because I'm old enough to know like the structure of the business, or wise enough, I guess. But then I'm also young enough to know where like I know what's trending on TikTok and I know what's trending on the memes and stuff like that. So like I've got the perfect opportunity and age right now where I can still play both parts. And even that video that I had that my buddy from Scenic Labs do, I showed it to her and I was like, hey, look, I made this video. We put it together. This is what I'm using to market on social media. And she was like, oh, send me that. Oh. And she was like, this is a good video. I like this. So like, and she's super sweet, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those, It's just one of those things.
One of those connections.
Yeah, for sure. Your coach, your mentor, you closed that deal on the 8th day. What opportunity presented itself after that 8th day and that deal was closed?
So after that, so pretty much I was on board. But at the time I was still working my 9 to 5. So I was working 52 hours at Enterprise. And then after Enterprise, I would be on the phones. So I would be working about 62 hours a week in total. So I did that for about 7 months. And after the 7 months, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to dive in. I'm just going to do it full time.
Did you still have the, like the credit card debt, and did you still have the crappy car?
No.
Or you used that time frame to kind of build and take that financial stress off of you?
So I actually, the 2 first years that I was at Enterprise, I lived at my dad's. So I went back to my dad's after college. So I was there with him, and so that's when I just started working and just like paying off that credit card. And then after that, I sold my car and I bought a new one. And then right after that, I got a promotion at Enterprise, and then I bought my house. And so then after that, I went and lived at my house, so now my bills were higher, right? But I was working both jobs. So, and then on top of that, once I bought my house, I started renting one of the rooms out. So all of this like extra income and passive income helped me just leave my 9 to 5.
So what the hell possessed you to rent a room out?
Yeah, one of my friends Edwin, he's like the rental king. So he like rents all of his bedrooms out, and he told me about it. And at first I was a little skeptical because I was like, I don't want some random
Well, I was going to
person.
ask that too, and I don't mean it to be like sexist or like to stereotype or whatever, but like if it was my daughter,
Yeah.
or my mom or my grandma or somebody, be like, hey, like hold up, like who the hell are you going to put in here, and like,
Right.
are you sure? So like, did that fear not ever cross your mind?
It did. And it crossed all my family's mind,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Like, this girl's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what steps did you kind of take to kind of screen these people, or kind of tell me a little bit about that process? Because to be honest with you, that's something that I'm looking at. You know, I'm trying to maybe kind of move in that direction because I've got like the finances to cover me till X day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there still is financial pressure, you know,
Sure.
and I personally believe that once there's that financial pressure, at least on me, you're fine, you're good. Do your thing. You're a businesswoman. This is what you do.
Oh, look, it's my mentor. Oh, he can bypass my do not disturb. Hold on real quick.
Do your thing, man. I'm going to leave it in there.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to the wizard is in the house
in
too.
a podcast, and everyone knows you called. So, everyone knows you called. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh? With Fernando. Let me call you when I'm out, okay? I know, but it's under control though. But I'll call you back, okay? Bye. Talking about the commercial deal.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. It's under control.
It's under control. It's under control.
So I wanted to talk to you, kind of pick your brain about that, because I was kind of looking about doing the same thing too, about the renting the rooms out, right?
Is it?
Oh, Shawn.
Is this live?
No, we're not live. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I can edit all this stuff or do it. I usually leave it in there. It's
Yeah.
We're real people, you know?
Yeah. I love it.
That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Like, how did you transition into that, and what were some of those fears, and then how did you take away some of that worry or that stress? Because having a mentor probably helped, right? Or your friend Edwin, right? Yeah, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me how you went about it.
Yeah, definitely. So he pretty much, having a mentor is so helpful. And especially in the mindset aspect, because they're already doing it, so they can guide you. And then whenever you have those doubts that we all have, they kind of like, hey, I've had that too. It's okay, keep moving. So with him, he was just like, okay, like there's this app called Spare Room. And so on Spare Room, that's where you post photos of the room.
About to get this room rented tonight.
So it's called Spare Room. And so on there are things like that. So it'll ask you to pretty much like have the avatar of your roommate if you want. So with me, I checked all women. And then it gives you like the option of like age range and all this other stuff, right? Pets. And so I posted the ad on there, and then he also gave me his document for a lease. So now they sign a lease with me. And then on there it has like the house rules. And then on top of that, there are also websites where you can get like free screening. So you don't have to pay for that either. And so you're able to do a screening just to make sure that the background check is okay. So that's pretty much how I got my first roommate. It's through Spare Room. And so she was living with me for about 7 months. And now she left, and I got my other roommate from Spare Room again.
Awesome.
So it just kind of that's just kind of like what I've done, and it's worked out. So with the one thing that I have learned from this, it's kind of when you do get a roommate, especially Spare Room or somewhere where you don't know. I found a lot of success. I put it on Facebook Marketplace, on Facebook, and on my social medias, but I found a lot of success on Spare Room. And it's free too. And so my biggest like learning experience from it, it's like you can vibe really well with people, and you're like, man, this is the best roommate ever. Like we just vibe. But I think it's best to rent the rooms based on lifestyle. So if you're a hard worker and you're always working and you're always busy, it's good to maybe if you guys don't even have that same vibe or that same energy, if they have that same lifestyle, it's just gonna flow better. So that's my biggest like learning experience from it. But I found a lot of success in it, and I strongly recommend it.
So right now, do you still you have one roommate right now that you're just messing, and you still have another room available or no?
I do, but it's gonna be a podcast room.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, like this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do your podcast on?
So Karis and I, we just started doing our podcast last week.
Is this your roommate? Or is
Karis?
this? Yes.
No, she's
Okay.
she's my best friend.
Okay.
Yeah, and she also has her own cold calling company.
Okay.
Yeah, so she has like all the VAs. So we use their VAs too for Texas Homes. And so we decided to go on a podcast together and venture off in this like creative field. And so so that's who I'm with. So
Okay.
now that room, it was potentially going to be rented out. That's what I had planned for, but now it's like it took a different turn, which is amazing. So I'm just gonna go that route.
I think you should do it. I think sometimes there's a big fear in us doing this, and even to this day, sometimes I will say the one thing that like to do is don't go into it from a view perspective and like perspective.
Right.
Go into it for just putting quality content out there or just the things that you enjoy.
That's right.
There has been a lot of times where I put stuff out, and Mr. Wizard can speak on this, too. Sometimes we get so caught up in the views, the likes, and we forget what the message is.
Right.
And people watch. And people may not people may not see it, but there's always people that are gonna just curious to see what Tina's doing, what Fernando's doing, what Shawn's doing, right?
Yeah.
And there's been times that I didn't expect certain individuals reach out to me, or when I run into them, compliment me on not the quality of the content, but just having the courage or the balls to put something out. They're like, man, I don't know how you do that. I would love to do that about sports. And I would love to do something like around sports, but I just don't have the personality or the confidence to do that. And man, to be honest with you, like speaking in front of a camera and being in front of it, like it's
nerve-wracking.
Yeah. And I will say this though, I was hesitant to say it or not, but at the beginning when we started, I could tell you were a little like amped up and like excited, and so it comes with time. Keep practicing.
Yeah.
And as you learn, go back and watch your stuff. And Shawn's really good at this, and he always throws tips and tricks out there. But learn to listen. Learn to step back, ask a question. Learn not to interrupt. And this is why I'm doing this now, because I go on and on and on about random stuff, and I'm probably going on now.
No.
But it helps kind of have a little guideline as to where to follow.
Yeah.
So I would say do it. I would say reach out to me or Shawn if you need any advice on how to do that or kind of what to do. And I can definitely tell you some of the things that I learned and some of the things that I wish I would have done different or whatever the case may be. But
so let me stop you there. Before I got here, Karis was like, when you get there, make sure that you're seeing where all the lights are, how you're positioned with Fernando, what everything looks like, and I was like, don't worry, girl, I got it.
Yeah. Before I leave, like,
yeah, seriously.
What's the brand?
Yes. I already took photos of it.
And it's cool, man. And I think the biggest thing that you can do if this is what you really want to do, like, I'm for it. Yeah. Like, I'm for it. And like, if someone's doing something about some nerding out stuff that I don't like, whatever, like it's a nerd thing to me, right? Or like a cheesy thing to me. But at the end of the day, they're happy, and if this is making you happy, and it's making us money, and it's helping us provide a service to someone, and we can live this lifestyle and get to where we want to be.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that aren't happy with what they're doing that I really think would want to kind of see like, hey, what other options are out there? And it's like, hey, look at me, like I quit my job. Hey, look at you, you quit your job, and this is how we're surviving,
Yes, definitely.
So the advice as far as cameras and lights and everything like that, I can definitely give you that, and I'm sure Shawn would be happy to.
Yeah, I was like amazed when I walked in. I was like, oh wow.
It's a whole setup.
This is official.
So now that you've transitioned into this and you're doing this, how long has it been since you quit your W-2?
It's been 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
And you don't have to answer this or not, but has the financial stress kind of eased A little bit?
100%.
Okay.
And I think it's like, so when I quit my 9 to 5, I was telling my friends, I was like, once I have a year worth of bills, I'll quit. And then it was like, why a year? Have 6 months. And then I actually quit when I had 3 months. And so then, like, when I quit, my roommate at the time, she was like, hey, I'm leaving. And I was like, oh, no.
I'm relying on you.
And I was like, oh, wow, you know? And so then, so it was something that I didn't see coming, right? And so I only had 3 months. And then on top of that, that was a big hit. And so it was more like, oh my gosh, like, am I even doing the right thing? Like, was this bad timing? Should I not have done this? Should I have waited, right? And so it was more, again, I think it was more mindset than anything. And so things were tight. Things were definitely tight. I felt the crunch. And as months went on, I kept feeling the crunch because it takes like 30 days for a deal to close, right? It doesn't, it's not from here to tomorrow. So it's kind of like that. I definitely felt it. And right now I feel the momentum, like, and I think the biggest shift is just, I started working harder. Like, that pressure is real, but when you talk to other people that are doing it, you understand that that's the process. You have to trust the process. There was a point in time where I was like, I can't do this because I don't have money. I can't do this because I don't have any income coming in. That is a terrible mindset. It's like, okay, you don't have it right now, but it's coming. Like, it's coming. Like, I'm not saying go splurge, but I'm saying, like, have the mentality that you're going to work hard every single day and it's going to come, because it has to. It's like law. So once I change that mentality to that, I feel the momentum. I feel like I'm crushing it. I feel like I'm good about myself. I feel really good about myself. And so from then on, it's just kind of changed. Even if someone just gave me a penny more in my bank account, I feel like I'm just 10 times richer right now. It's relationships, it's experience, and now it's like my mindset. It's like, I'm gonna win because I'm not giving myself any other option.
And I love that, because that's one of the things that I have fought with me doing what I'm doing too, right? Because I quit too, and I walked away, and people think I'm a psychopath, and they're probably a little right, but I walked away from a very, very good gig. It's a job that people dream about, having, and it's a job that people like. There's a lot of demand for that, or not demand, desire for that position that I was in, right? So there was a lot of like self-doubt in myself too, like, man, is this the right move? And like, we're sitting in this house because that job provided the funds to pay for it, the cars, this, that, the lifestyle, like, it did. Am I ready to throw this all out the window for a what if, and
right.
Surrounding myself with individuals in the industry like my friend Adam and others like yourself, and just separating myself from the other individuals that aren't kind of into the same direction. I'm not saying, in a bad sense, but just that aren't in the way that I want to go, and
right.
One of the things that I'm learning now is to, one, show up for myself every day, and for my business is to build a consistent schedule, is to understand that, like, if I don't do something today, I won't be rewarded in like 3 months, or I won't see the benefits of it in like 3 months or 4 months, right? So I am applying the pressure now, and I have been as of recently, to hopefully the seeds that I'm planting now will blossom in maybe January
100%.
or February. So it is a scary thing. It is, and there's times where I feel the walls closing in on myself, and I'm like, man, did I make the wrong move? The fear of, and then the other day, like, my dad came over and I was talking to him, and he was like, hey man, you're gonna finish this truck, the other one that I'm building? And he just, like, it was just like a reassurance that, like, I know I have my dad there, and I know I have my mom and my brothers, and it's like, why are you like waiting to rely on them?
Yeah.
Why don't you just apply the pressure now? And why don't you just show up for yourself, and you get yourself into the position that you want to be? And and no one's going to do the work. And I don't think people really truly understand that, and except the people that are in this industry or have done kind of what we've done.
Right.
And I use it as reassurance, where, like, and I always say this all the time, like, I'm not walking on Mars, I'm just walking on the moon, and that's been done before. Without going into the conspiracy theories, So you, I don't know where we were going with that, but so you found, you transitioned, you had that roommate that left, you're kind of on the fence of like how it's going up, you're learning to kind of cultivate this lifestyle that you want, right?
Mhm.
Once you get past that initial doubt in your own head, like how's your structure like now? How do you get structured? Like what's your like kind of like your day to day, or how do you get into that process?
Yeah. So at first, when I started, I just made sure that I went to the office from about we go in around 10 to 6 Monday through Friday, right? And so I did that. I made sure that I went into an office. I didn't stay home, no work from home. And so then after that, I was like, I was closing deals. I was feeling good about myself. But like reflecting and going back to the time when I was working at Enterprise and picking up the phones part time, I also ended up adopting 75 hard in that time frame.
Dude, shout out to that. You were
Yes.
a killer, dude.
Yeah.
And I would like not stalking your story, but like pretty much. And I was just like, damn, like this is impressive. And I was
Yeah.
like, I knew you were gonna make it in anything if you can stick to that program because that shit's hard.
It is hard. It is hard. And it's like at the time, I was working about 16-hour days. So it's like I had to fit in 2 workouts. So if I didn't wake up at 5 a.m., I'd be going to sleep around 1, sometimes 2 a.m. and waking up at like 6 a.m. to go to work and do it all over again. So it's like once I started getting the feeling of like, oh, I'm pretty good on the phones, then I adopted 75 hard. And so you just have to keep doing hard shit. Like you can't be complacent, otherwise everything will be complacent in life. You constantly have to keep going into the unknown. So after that, I quit my 9 to 5, and then I was on the phones obviously the whole time. Now that's like a mindset challenge, right? Because it's like you hear a lot of no's, 100 no's that one, those 3 maybes that one yes, right? So it's like that constant battle, right? And so then after that, now what I've been doing is I have a morning and night routine. And don't get me wrong, you don't have to have a morning and night routine to be successful, but it has really prepared me for my days. So in the mornings, I wake up, I go to the gym, I work out. It's a non-negotiable.
What time are you getting up?
At around 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not doing the crazy, yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So I'll wake up around 6 a.m. I walk my dogs half a mile. I go work out, and then I just prepare like what I'm gonna do during the day. So we have morning huddles with our team every morning at 11, and so I just prepare our quick morning huddles, like whether we have games, whether we have PowerPoint slideshows, whatever it is to start the day, right? To get everyone motivated to get on these phones, because again, it's all mental. So then, and then at night, I have this debrief that I got from my coach. So I have another mindset coach that I met at Bedros Live. Her name is Ava. She's awesome. And so she gives me this debrief that I need to do nightly. And it's just a reflection of how my day went and what I need to do tomorrow. And so every night I get that done. And it just brings structure. And it's just like, I think what it comes down to is collecting wins. The more wins you have throughout the day, the more confidence you have, the more you do, and the more courage you have. So I think that's what it kind of just boils down to.
Do you still ever go through like some lows along the way where you're kind of like, because I imagine what you're doing and those routines and that kind of like mental prep, that helps you, right? Because I sometimes go through these lows where it's just like I'm kind of in a funk, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, like I don't know, but like I'm learning to just show up for
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
and show up because people believe in me, or people are depending on me, or I'm just depending on myself. Like my dogs are kind of dependent on this house and the bills and stuff. So, but do you still have lows like that, or and if you do, like how do you get through them?
Yeah, so I think lately what my lows look like is me losing momentum. So I'll have a great week just locking up deals, just having great follow-ups, and then I'm like, all right, I'm chilling, and then it's like, but what you do today is your future. So even if I had a great week or I had a great 3 days and I slow it down today, this is my future. So it's like that again, that limiting belief, like you got to keep going like 100% every single day. And so one of the biggest things that my coach has told me, because one time I was kind of down, I'm like, man, like I had all these people that were, it was sellers that had about 6 slots each that were like, I built great rapport. We were ready to close another commercial contract. And then I was like, oh, I'm chilling, this is going to be great. All of them said not right now. And I was like, I was like, wow, I don't have anything in the pipeline now because, you know, I just kind of got complacent. So then I hated that feeling. And so my coach was like, just write it down, write what you're feeling, write it down. So I wrote it down, I journaled it. And then after that, it's like, do you want to feel like that again? Do you think it's worth feeling like that? And I was like, no, I don't like it. So then don't do it again. So don't do that. So it's just like, you have to learn to love yourself and put yourself first. And part of loving yourself is not making yourself feel that way.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with someone last night, and I was just like, man, I need to separate myself from the things that aren't good for me.
Right.
I need to separate myself from the things that I'm weak at.
Mm-hmm.
I need to separate myself from the things that aren't, you know, and I don't mean it like in a very like you know, bad state of mind. Like it's all balance, right? But like, you know, I kind of made the comment like if it's not making me money or if it's not making me better, I don't want nothing to do with it. But also there's time with friends and there's stuff like that you got to balance out. But I want my day-to-day mentality to be like, if this thing is not making me money or if this is not benefiting me from a physical, mental, or whatever standpoint, like I don't want nothing to do with it. And it's been hard. I'm a very social person and I have this crazy desire to just be out all the time. And the car thing is my escape as of recently. But other than that, what I was doing was like I was just going out and just kind of hanging out and partying the whole time. And I kept feeling like, man, this sucks. Like I'm out, like it's bad for business. I'm risk getting in trouble. I'm spending money. And I didn't have the steady operations money coming in anymore. And it was like one of those things where I had like an epiphany one day and I was like, I hate feeling like this. Mm-hmm. I hate this feeling and I didn't quit my job to feel like this. I haven't showed up for myself in a couple weeks and I'm not doing it anymore. And like I literally, the conversation yesterday with someone was like, man, I feel like I have the true potential to do something really great. I feel like I've got a little bit momentum. And I don't want to get like super religious because I don't know if you are or not, but I do believe. And I feel like I heard this somewhere and I feel like it just hit me because I feel like the more that I do on track with what my goals are and what the lifestyle and the way I want to conduct myself, the more I do things to move me that way, the more I find little rewarding crumbs along the way.
Definitely.
And it's that little push that snowballs, that momentum where it starts to go from like a little marble size roll to, you know, a baseball, or then from there just progresses up to like, you know, who knows, one of those big inflatable balls or whatever. But I was like, man, I feel like that every time I tell myself to cut back on the things that aren't good for me, and then I do the good, I get rewarded. But then I'm like, oh, this went good. I'm going to go do the things that aren't good for me. And I feel like, man, if I need to cut those things out for a little bit, 6 months to a year, and aggressively apply pressure on what the original purpose of all this was to quit my job and create a career around this industry. And it's tough, man. It's really, 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 really hard. How do you, or where is it that like you were ultimately trying to end up in this industry? Like if you could literally take a piece of paper and write down what the end goal for you looks and what you're doing, what does that look like?
Yeah, I want to have my own real estate company, and also I want to be so good at building companies that I help others build companies.
What real estate company, like in particular, like a wholesale company or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I love wholesaling. It's my niche, and so I would love to have a wholesaling company, and then I would want to. So like in 5 years, I see myself doing podcasts and helping others and helping women in particular, like. We can do this, you know, we don't need a man, we don't need anything else. Like I did it without any help from my family, without a husband, without anyone, just by myself. So I want to help others do that. So in like 5 years, I see myself doing that, but I know that in order to get there, I have to master what I'm doing. So I know that I need to put 110% every day until those 5 years, because if I don't, then there's no way that I can teach, and I'm doing everyone a disservice, including myself, because I'm not going to be congruent to who I am and who I want to be.
Damn, I'm motivated as fuck. Shawn's back there like, damn, like, oh, I'm in. I don't know what we're doing, but I'm in.
Right.
So That's fucking badass, man. I ultimately kind of something similar. I don't know if I want my own company just yet. What I would ultimately love to do is I would like to use the reward from obviously helping people in this industry, because you can look at it from one way. You can look at it from a financial perspective, and you can say, hey, I just want to make a lot of money. And when you're money focused, you're never gonna reach the end all money goal, because there's so much money out there.
Yeah.
So if you set a goal that is infinite, I personally don't feel like you'll ever obtain it, because you're constantly chasing money and there's never enough money.
Yeah.
So for me, what I focus on my business and the way that I move is I structure it more along the lines of like, how do I take the things that I've learned and the resources that I have, and how do I help somebody that has a problem?
Right.
And then obviously, in the process of me building that relationship and solving that problem for someone, I'm going to be compensated for it. It's just the way it is, right? I hope to take all the proceeds from every compensation that I ever get, and ultimately I would want to invest. And what I want to do is where I don't have to do sales anymore. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I'm just saying that I wouldn't. I would want to take the pressure away of like, I gotta close another deal. I gotta close another deal. You know, I need to do work right now so that in 6 months or 3 months I could. You know, I would want to take that away. And on top of that, one of the things that I would want to do is that when someone thinks of a Cadillac, when someone thinks of an old school car, or when someone thinks of real estate, what they do is they think of Fernando.
Yes.
Which is why I've slowly started to kind of promote myself, because people wear Nike, people wear Reebok, people wear, you know, whatever designer clothes. They don't know the people that own those companies. That doesn't help anybody, right? Why can't I promote myself?
Seriously.
Why can't I, you know, be the one that if I don't promote myself and I don't show people that this is something that I stand behind and this is something that I'm really truly passionate about, how do I expect people to take me serious? And at first I kind of like did it and I was like, man, I don't want to wear these out. Like, I don't know, man, I don't know. But again, there's been those people and those little crumbs along the way that either people love the logo, people want to buy a shirt, people love the stickers, and people were like, dude, that's creative and that's cool because it's little houses that you put in there instead of the little swans, which is the original logo, and the way you made it your own. So like, no, I'm with you, man. I was, when we were talking, I said to you, and I was like, hey man, I would like to do this with you now when we're kind of in the start of this career, so that in 2 years or maybe next year or 5 years or 10 years we can turn around and we can say like, you remember when we did that cheesy ass podcast in my room?
We were all nervous.
Yeah. And then now we're sitting in, you know, whether it be a high rise or some country, you know, property, or on some beach somewhere that you want to do, you know, like, hey, you want to meet up again? Like, I'll bring my podcast gear, you know, or I can get on yours, you know. So it's awesome, man. Tell me a little bit more about this. I see you're doing. There was a little. You feel like I didn't like creep too much into it, but you were doing like a women empowerment type of like coach, right? That you had, I think.
Yeah.
I saw that you pinned it to your page, and you met with this individual. Like, what is that? And then kind of like, how'd you get into that?
Yeah, so I met her. Oh, well, first I need to buy some merch before I leave. So
you won't buy anything. I'll give you a sticker because I didn't order. I just ordered stuff for me.
Oh,
it was
wow.
a trial. Yeah, it was a trial. It was a trial. I was just trying to see how it was gonna go and how it was gonna look.
No, I love it.
And also, like I said, like I've got funds set aside for this much, and I'm like, I need a little bit, but I don't need a lot just yet, you know?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit. I got you. I got everybody. I got everybody that wants something. Give me a minute.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about this thing that you're getting into, or that you got into.
Yeah. So I think that mindset is so important, and I do believe that it's the people that you're around that will make or break you. So if you're around people that have already done it, that have already built businesses, that are already doing podcasts, are already doing everything that you want to get into, it's just motivational to be around these people. And so you give yourself no option but to win. So if you're in a table of winners, you have no option but to win, you know? So when I went to Bedros Live, which he's amazing. If you guys don't follow him, I'm big on discipline. And so she was coached by him as well. And so she is just so powerful, disciplined, owns her own like gyms, and she is a immigrant from Poland, came to the United States, and she's just a killer. And so I really vibed with her that day, and I was like, man, like she has her own businesses, she knows how to run businesses, she has her own podcast. She's at these events and she looks like a total bad bitch. Like that's who I want to be, you know. And so we just vibe, and again, it's just having that person that will keep you accountable. She is the reason why I have a morning and night routine, because of the debriefs and because she holds me accountable every single night. So it's like, and like to her, it's like if it's 5 o'clock and you're there at 5:01, she's like, there's no excuse. If you don't send in the debrief, there's no excuse. And so it's just, that's what I want to be. And so I'm going to surround myself around these type of women, because eventually I will be just that.
That's cool, man. I really do think that is something great. I really do think that is something like really powerful. It really is like the guy from the gym, like, you know, the guy Pico from Bossletics that I go to, we have our little kind of conversations every now and then. And I've been structuring myself to like show up for myself. There's no reason why I snooze. There's no reason why I sleep in. And don't get me wrong, I'm human. I do it, you know?
Yeah.
I did no physical activity today, and I feel so bad about it. But I was a little sore from running, and I was just like, man, I wanted to do this, and I wanted to take the time to put this thing together and you know, really get back into this. But we have our conversations sometimes, and you know, he kind of tells me the same thing too. It's like, bro, there's no excuse to not show up for yourself.
Right.
Like, do it for you. Like, don't do it for nobody else. Don't do it for nothing. Show up for yourself. And like, the way you said that and the way you put that into context is that it's that little pump, that little rush of when I have that conversation with him. Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of people that I can have those conversations with. Like, there are some small business owner people that I do have those conversations with. There are, you know, certain individuals like my brother or my brothers and some people that like, I have to be really careful where conversations I have and just take certain conversations with a grain of salt, because they're just filler conversations.
Right.
And I'm not saying it in a bad way, but man, like I really am like funneling down on life and getting down to some of the things that are like, how do I sacrifice or how do I focus on the next like 6 months and narrow this tunnel vision in to mirror the person I want to be in 6 months. You know, what are the things that are noise in my life, and what are the things that are like, again, making me money, making me better from a physical standpoint, whatever. How can I build very meaningful relationships, and how do I just tie all this in together? And then the biggest thing for me is the discipline. That is huge, man. And I'm not perfect at it. And every day I struggle with that.
It's hard.
Pick up the phone. Do this, follow up. You know, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. I appreciate you coming in and sitting down and having this conversation with me. I don't know how Shawn feels about it, but I am amped up to. What time is it? I'm calling someone after this. I'm just coming out.
Oh, shit.
No, I'm amped up. Like I love the transition that you're doing. I love that you're bold, crazy, psycho, whatever you want to call it, enough to actually take this plunge. Are you having success in what you're doing from when you decided to do this? Are you?
Absolutely.
Perfect. That just gives me the extra little boost of confidence, because no matter, I hear this all the time, and you know, people used to tell me, man, you know, you picked the wrong time to get into this industry. I think that's completely wrong. No matter what day or what the market's doing, I truly do feel that there is always someone with a real estate problem, and all I have to do is present there or sit there and be able to like, hey, interview me.
Yeah.
Hey, give me 5 minutes to have a conversation with you.
Right.
And if I can't help you, then we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
And if not, then then hey, look, this is what we can do for you. Whether it be me, my brokerage, or hey, you know what? You don't want to work with an agent? I have a girl for you. Right. She doesn't do with all this. Like it's building the relationship. And I may not win that deal, or I may not get compensated for that, but I guarantee you I will build that relationship with that person, and I will hold on to that forever. It's building relationships in this industry and networking. And I'm glad that, I don't know for whatever path like our paths align, but I'm glad that you are doing what you're doing. And I don't know if anybody ever will tell you this or tells you this, but like I really do admire what you're doing, because it gives me that much extra like push. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but like if she can do it and so can do it, I can fucking do it
no,
too.
dude, straight up. Straight up.
Is there anything else that you feel is important and essential to your business and to your life that you feel like you just need to get off your chest that you can leave us with?
Yeah, definitely. So I think whenever you take this big step, or you're even thinking about taking this big step, it's very frightening. It's very scary. And I feel like too many people just don't do it because of the what ifs. And I think it has a lot to do with mindset. So it's a lot of limiting beliefs, limiting self-beliefs from how we were taught to when we were kids, how we grew up. And it's just kind of just disregarding that. And I think my biggest thing and why I'm here today is because I've created small wins throughout my days. So it's not like I'm going to quit my job and then in 5 years I'm going to make some money or whatever. It's like I'm going to quit my job and every day I'm going to collect wins as if it is money. So the days so now I work out every single day. There's not one day I do not work out. And the reason why is because I invite everyone to like journal your feelings. When you don't work out, when you make a promise to yourself and you don't deliver, how does that make you feel? So if
I'm a loser.
Yes. So write it down and read it every night. And then the next day, like love yourself enough to not do that to yourself again. And every day it's hard as hell. It's hard as hell. But if you get that done, there's no way that you won't be successful.
My friend, I know that you are going to be successful in the things that you do, and I know that you are, you're going to make a staple in this industry, and you have my support. And if there's anything that I can ever do for you, as far as maybe help you set up, a podcast or kind of, coach you along the way with that, like I'm not the best, but it is something that I've done before, and I'm a little more comfortable listening, talking, kind of structuring these things, and I'm obviously learning and trying to get better. But if you need anything from me, like I am glad to meet you. I'm glad that we have crossed paths, and I can't wait to see where you go. And just like I said, if you're anything, just reach out.
Yeah, same.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day and out of your busy life to just put the effort in and just valuing me enough to have this conversation with me.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And when you guys get yours going, or I think you just did one, right?
Yeah.
Send me the link to that, or whenever it comes out, or when you guys decide to put it out. Like I would really want to check it out.
Oh, sweet.
One, I want to listen to what you have to say, and then two, if I can provide any like constructive criticism, I would love to kind of be like, hey, maybe like Shawn came over and sat with me and brought his light, his own equipment. I'm not paying this guy anything. This guy just did it simply out of the kindness of his heart, or maybe just because he's just excited to show me his fucking light that actually is pretty badass.
Dude, it really is.
He's probably on sales. He's probably going to give me a link. Use my link for 10% off. He's probably going to pocket from it. But this is someone that I actually look up to, and I any tech stuff, I call him and I reach out to him. He's just, again, a relationship that I built with somebody that I've also, building with you, that I think is just cool for all of us to sit together and put something out there.
Yes.
So I'm going to get off my soapbox and wrap it up.
I love it. Thank you guys so much.
So you guys, I guess, like, share, comment if you got anything from this. I'm going to put her handles on here so you guys can check her stuff out. If you guys are looking to get into this industry, or you have any questions on kind of just, really like, what is it that you're really doing? What is wholesaling? Definitely reach out to her. She's the expert in that. I know a little bit about it, but I've never actually done one of those deals, honestly. I'm not too familiar with how the entire process works. So if you guys would like to know more about that, definitely reach out to her. She's got the fire and the energy, and she's just a killer in the industry. So thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you.